You are now entering Video Village.
Keep your head and torso in the vehicle. Legs are fine. They don't eat legs.
Coming up,
Sam reviews Death of a Unicorn and the Four Seasons.
and we both review The Assessment,
Number 1 Happy Family USA.
Cleaner,
Elsbeth Season 2.
Drop,
Andor Season 2.
Warfare.
And Screamboat.
Right, we'll start with my two reviews.
Always.
Death of a Unicorn. So this is Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega, father-daughter. They're driving through, North American country, and they hit a unicorn with their car.
Okay.
And then he's going to a meeting with pharmaceutical representatives, the company he works for, and he's got this dead unicorn in the boot. What's going to happen? What is this? What's going on?
Okay.
Jenna Ortega is doing something different. A moody teen still, but not gothy and acerbic. Everyone else is just there, really.
Right.
Will Poulter is kind of fun, and he has an entertaining death. Yeah, there are deaths in this.
Okay.
It's a weird one.
Is there a death of a unicorn?
Maybe.
Okay. Oh, fun noise.
Yeah, it's a weird one. When the group sees the body of the dead unicorn, Will Poulter says, "What exactly are we saying this is, though?" And that question characterizes certainly the first half of the film.
Okay.
It's a satire of Big Pharma, kinda, a father-daughter coming together drama. It's also a big uneven tonal eccentricity. I was frowning for much of it until it settled into being what it was, which is a comedy gore movie.
Okay.
It has a similar appeal to Cocaine Bear, it's like killer unicorns, and a similar effect, which is to say, not much.
Right.
The tonal turmoil renders it impossible to take the dramatic stuff seriously, and it does want you to. They don't dig into the subject matter with much depth, it's insubstantial. So there's stuff there about the ethics of harvesting unicorn blood for its healing properties, but it's mostly lip service. Ortega is the heart of the film, who has an emotional connection with the beasts, the one arguing against the evil rich people. But I found myself thinking, vegans and whatnot aside, we're okay with killing animals for their meat. Unicorn blood literally cures cancer in this.
Oh, right, okay.
On the other hand, it might be the cure for everything, including mortality. Isn't that too much? So I left just thinking I'd like to see another better film tackle those debates.
Yeah, actually have a proper conversation about...
Yeah. Unicorn's not mandatory.
Yeah.
It's not terrible, it's just a miss.
Okay.
Basically.
So is it a bit... It sounds a bit like... is it Dusk Till Dawn? Where it starts out as one film and then, haha, surprise, vampires.
Kind of. You don't know what the film is.
Okay.
It feels like maybe it's going to be him trying to get, a job, but there's a dead unicorn. The first half is really odd.
Okay.
Just because it's not clear what the film is.
Okay.
And then, it just becomes a...
And not in a way that works to its advantage?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. And then it just becomes a gore movie.
Okay.
Basically. A fun gore movie. Yeah, I don't recommend it.
Okay, alright.
And The Four Seasons. So, this is a Netflix show. Steve Carell, Coleman Domingo, Tina Fey, other people, Will Forte. It's about three couples that are friends and they hang out together a lot. They go on vacations together. And then the friendships are sort of destabilized when Steve Carell reveals he's going to leave his wife. And then he gets a young kind of trophy girlfriend. And the show is about the fallout of that and their relationships with each other.
Okay.
It's based on an 80s film, which is written, directed by, and starring Alan Alda, who pops up in one episode of this in a little cameo.
Right.
I'm always happy to see Alan Alda. It has some of that fun Tina Fey dialogue, though not nearly as concentrated or memorable as her other projects.
Is it her project,
It's
then?
her show.
Right.
Yeah, her and other people, but I think she's the head of it. This is not an out-and-out comedy. It's a comedy drama about people of a certain age, but it does remain comfortably in the comedy category, unlike many comedy dramas.
Okay.
Steve Carell isn't Michael Scott. Of course, we've seen him do dramatic, but it's good to see he has range even within the comedic register. They're all competent performers, but Coleman Domingo is probably the standout in the ensemble. It really does feel like the characters know each other, and you're happy to spend time in their company. It's a show with a heart. It gets unexpectedly poignant towards the end. It's simple and charming, a brief, lightweight diversion. Expect nothing more, and you might be satisfied.
Okay.
So it's okay.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah. The Assessment.
Yes.
Yes, you've seen this one.
I have seen this one.
What's it about?
Elizabeth Olsen and some guy.
Yes.
I would feel bad for the guy because I don't know his name.
His name is Himesh Patel.
Himesh Patel.
Yeah.
But I think I'd forget the name of any actor acting alongside Elizabeth Olsen, in fairness.
You have a big crush on her, do you?
Yeah, she's alright, isn't she?
Yeah, she's hot. I wouldn't like... Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, I don't know. She just seems nice.
She seems nice.
So yeah, Elizabeth Olsen and Himesh Patel, they live in a house.
Freaks.
Yeah. The world has gone to shit. There's been some sort of environmental crisis.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the world is in ruin, but there's a little bit of the world that isn't, and they live within that
Under a dome.
Under a dome. They live in that bit of the world. And of course, any part of the world that is surviving when the rest of the world has gone to shit has some sort of fascistic, uber-controlling government.
Of course.
And in this case, that said government just won't allow people to have babies, man.
It's China.
What you got to do is, if you want to have a baby,
Yeah.
you need to have an assessment.
Yes.
Said assessment is conducted in this film by Alicia Vikander.
Mm-hmm.
She's there over the course of 7 days.
Yeah.
And her methods for testing them become more and more questionable as the film
more
goes
and more
on.
extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very indie, lo-fi sci-fi,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
After Yang, you didn't see that, did you?
No.
From a couple of years ago. That's what sprang to mind. But there have been loads of films like this since around 2010, with this feeling.
Okay.
It's also a bit J.G. Ballard. The house in particular, it reminded me of A Million Sands, a collection of short stories.
Okay.
We have the triumvirate of Himesh Patel, like you said, Elizabeth Olsen and Alicia Vikander at the centre of things, all of whom do the job.
Yeah.
Vikander is the obvious standout. She has the showiest role.
She does.
She had a moment, didn't she, about 7 years ago? Where'd she go?
Yeah, it feels like it's been a while since I've seen her.
Yeah, she won an Oscar, 2016.
Did she?
Yeah, for the Danish Girl, supporting actress.
Oh, yeah, she did.
And it's just married Michael Fassbender, and I probably wouldn't do much else, to be honest. I've seen Shame.
Spend time with Michael Fassbender. No, yeah, she's definitely the standout for me. Because, one of the things she ends up doing in the film is she starts behaving like a child.
Yes.
And so, that's her way of testing them. One of the many ways that she tests
them. Yeah, they have
them.
to treat her like their child.
Yeah. So she, deliberately, gets herself in trouble and, causes damage.
Yeah.
Gets herself in danger. And it really does feel like she is... You feel a change in that character.
Yeah,
she feels
absolutely.
young.
Yeah.
Especially, at the end of the film when Elizabeth Olsen kind of confronts the real her after the assessment is over. And it just feels like this... You can feel this tiredness.
Yes.
She's like, I've been doing this for ages.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone fucking hates me. Nothing you say can hurt me.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that really does feel like a different person.
No, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think certainly not understated. It's gonna be a neglected performance, I think, awards wise. But
because the film is so small. I don't know if it's really had any kind of
it's
reception.
really small.
Yeah.
It was a completely unceremonious release over here. I had to dig to find out did it come out.
Yeah.
You know. There's also one scene where we have a British invasion of actors, including Indira Varma, Nicholas Pinnock, Minnie Driver, Charlotte Ritchie. It was filmed in Tenerife, so it makes sense they would cast out of the UK.
Oh, right,
you know?
okay, yeah.
It's an interesting concept, no doubt. There's a perverse, simmering sexuality before it becomes explicit. So, Olsen bathes Alicia Vikander.
Yeah.
Vikander calls Patel daddy, obviously. The little innocent girl act. That was the more interesting dimension for me. More than the exposing of cracks in the couple's relationship, because that's what the film becomes about.
Yeah.
That, uncomfortable dichotomy of sex and infantilism. There's also a whiff of horror, but there's a sinister underbelly to proceedings. You keep waiting for things to go dark. But while the onion is peeled back to truth, it never becomes the film it threatens to be.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It does feel like the start of a horror film.
Yeah.
That never really turns into a horror film. And I don't think that's to its disadvantage. I think it's...
No, it's just, that's there. That feeling is there.
Yeah.
But it never goes dark.
No.
That dark, anyway. The themes are mined and explored with light richness, I would say. Mild protein. I think light is the word to describe this film.
Okay.
It has that level of indie detachment, and ultimately, it was a bit too indie for my liking. Not enough intelligence or oomph or feeling or power. Don't get me wrong, it's not overly noodly. I just needed more out of it personally.
Yeah, there's kind of enough there to kind of let you know that they have thought about this world. It's not just some vague... it's this kind of future-y, post-apocalyptic, sanctuary.
Yeah.
For example, Himesh Patel's job is he creates virtual pets.
Yes.
Because after the climate crisis, they had to cull all animals, cats, dogs, everything. And so he makes digital renditions of pets that people can then own.
Chimpanzees.
And chimpanzees, which you weren't fond of.
I'm not even fucking with a virtual chimp.
Yeah.
You can't trust them.
Yeah, because it's just sitting there. Like, as he's like fiddling with the fur.
Yeah, but we've seen AI, that recent video of the fucking robot going haywire in China or wherever it was.
Yeah, you just wouldn't want to risk it.
No.
Would you?
No.
Yeah, so it's kind of those kind of details that make you think, oh, they have thought about this world. There is like an element of world building here, but it's also not quite enough where you feel like it's properly exploring the world.
You're not full when the film is over.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the pluser side, Elizabeth Olsen's character seems to have a fondness for wearing this rather sheer top. I like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of all I've got to say, really. It is a light film.
Yeah.
Not light in it. It's not lightweight. It's trying to tackle serious themes, and the ending is like relatively bleak.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of gravity to it. It's quite an airy confection, I would say.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, do you recommend it on that scale? Where it's like it's not doing anything wrong, but
yeah,
it's also not like a must watch.
Yeah, it's not a must watch.
No,
but it's decent. I wouldn't discourage anyone from watching it.
Yeah,
but I don't think I would direct anyone to it either.
No, I think it's the type of film where you'll know fairly quickly whether you're going to be in the mood for it or not.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Number 1 Happy Family USA.
Yeah, okay.
What's this one about?
This is an adult animated comedy, Sam.
Hey.
Out of A24, which took me a bit by surprise.
Yeah.
I know A24 are not a complete bastion of quality. They have put out some dodgy stuff.
Yeah, they've been going long enough now that they've got some duds.
Yeah. But this still didn't quite feel like the type of thing you'd get out of a company like that.
It's adult swimmy.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, this is basically, it's an adult animated comedy about a Muslim...
That I watched.
That Sam watched. About a Muslim family that are living in America in the wake of 9/11.
Yes.
And, yeah, the comedy is kind of about how life in America is so much more difficult for them now.
Yeah, they have to change.
Yeah.
Or do they have to change? The father is very much like, now we will completely camouflage.
Yes.
And we will endear ourselves to Americans.
We will try and fit in. We will be number 1 happy family, USA.
Hey, that's why they call it that. Okay, so going in, there's something I don't like about Rami Youssef. So he's the showrunner, the voice of the kid, and the voice of the dad.
Yeah.
Head writer, all that kind of thing. And no, it's not his ethnicity or his religion, and that's half true.
Oh, right.
I'll leave it up to you.
Okay.
Each episode begins with a jokey disclaimer. It says, don't accept this as a representation of Muslims, Arabs, or people from New Jersey. It's a way of covering their arse.
Yeah.
It's also a way of saying not to take it too seriously, right? I'm not a fan of the art style.
I really don't understand the art style. Yeah.
Yeah, there's obviously some money behind it.
Yeah.
Rami Youssef is a name. He's hosted the Golden Globes, I think.
Okay.
He certainly has in the studio, which we'll review in a few episodes. But I think he's hosted things. Like, he's a guy, and he's had the show Rami that was very well received.
Yeah.
There's money behind it. But yeah, it feels like people made this on the cheap.
Yeah, it's not quite as bad as Mr. Bertram.
Okay.
Where you could tell that there's like no money behind that show. Yeah. Because the art style of that show is very generic. It just looks like someone looked at Family Guy and went, we'll try and do that.
Sure.
But the animation, the quality of the animation underneath that art style just wasn't up to scratch anyway. In the case of this show, I think the quality of the animation is fine. Mm-hmm. It's not doing anything that impressive. But it never feels like it's struggling to achieve the scene that it's trying to achieve. No. What's confusing is that the art style looks like... It genuinely looks like it's drawn by a child. It's not like...
Yeah, you'd think there would be again, with that much money behind it, the art style would have a purpose. Or if not purpose, then it would just look good. Yeah. You know? And the fact it doesn't look good makes you think, right, then why are they doing this then?
Because it doesn't look like... I'm trying to think of how to describe it. Like... The character, it doesn't look like they've drawn a face. It looks like they've drawn eyes and a nose. And a mouth. Looks like all of the elements are being crudely drawn separately. And then just stuck onto like a human-shaped model. Yeah. And it's the kind of art style, that makes you think, right, there has to be a reason behind this. Yeah. Like, is this how Rami Youssef draws? And they've done this so that it's more personal for him? Or is it like
that, right? They'd have to you'd need that justified in the text, so to speak.
It's not like distractingly bad.
It's not bad.
But it's enough to make you go, huh.
It's not bad. It's just completely indistinct, whatever. It's just not... It doesn't set itself apart from any other animation.
Yeah, but it's not as clean as its contemporaries.
Yeah.
While also not being unique and punky enough to feel like it's trying to be different.
Yeah. What's that show? I don't know if you like it. The one Mike Stacklasa did a voice for.
Oh, Smiling Friends.
Yeah, where that's like, it's punky and it's kind of jankiness,
Yeah, like they've I mean, there is a logic to that art style. Even though it does look like it's, well, that's the thing. I think it's deliberately trying to look like it was drawn by people on Newgrounds in the early days of the internet.
Yes, exactly.
But even within that, there's like a logic to its art style.
Yeah.
It's a show that like I've come to kind of appreciate what Smiling Friends does, even if it doesn't like work for me all of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a show where there's purpose behind its art style.
Right.
I'm not feeling the purpose here. And so it just came off as weird that it didn't look as clean.
I think they probably just wanted to write a show like, oh, you can do an animated show about this. And then like art style, don't matter.
Okay.
Like just, I care about the scripts and all that stuff. Yeah, this isn't a show where it's worth talking about plausibility, right?
Okay.
It's meant to be a goofy, heightened type of humour. And I bring it up because the DJ on the opening radio broadcast announces it's September 10th, 2001, right?
Yeah.
Well, the DJ wouldn't announce the year, okay? But I accept that that's a joke and how obvious a foreshadowing it is, in a way, right?
Of course.
It's more that he carries on and says, tomorrow, September 11th, will be a huge day for New York City. You couldn't have left us with a one neon sign, you had to Vegas it, One can only attempt the humour of the show if one has the associated ethnic pass. Under a different showrunner, this wouldn't be as well received. But the fact that jokes are made about the grandfather being unique amongst his peers for not hitting his wife, don't we want a culture that's healthy enough for these jokes?
Yeah.
I'm glad that those jokes are being made,
I see where you're coming from, but I think this was my problem with it when I was starting with the show, is I was kind of watching it going, I don't know what this show expects of me as a viewer. Like, am I supposed to think that this is edgy and offensive? Am I supposed to think that this is informative of like, oh, you didn't think about what things were like from this perspective?
Yeah.
Because it's weird. Like, it does things like it will like make fun of stereotypes like that.
Yeah.
But like, oh, how the grandfather is so old-fashioned and abusive and whatnot. But then it also seems to be criticizing characters within the show for acting as though those stereotypes are true.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's like criticizing the thing that it itself is mining for humor.
Yeah. There's an element of cake and eating it. But again, and like, we can make that show. It wouldn't be allowed. But yeah, jokes about like, come on, I don't hit you. I'm like, good. Like, I want that stuff lampooned,
Yeah.
Now, there are any number of angles and stories that can be taken and told surrounding an event or a period. Frankly, prejudice towards Arabs and Muslims in the wake of 9/11 is not a lens I think is that significant.
Okay.
Not to disregard any such instance of, all that's unpleasant. I guess I just don't want the idea perpetuated that reactionary bigotry was the story of 9/11, because it wasn't.
Well, it was a story though, right?
Yeah, I'm saying, I'm happily saying that you can take any angle you want on it.
Yeah.
Of course, there were some Muslims that I'm sure were treated badly in the wake of 9/11. Yeah, I'm just saying that's fine. Just don't leave thinking that's the most important thing about that event. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Because there's going to be people watching it now, a lot of people, maybe most people, that just weren't alive when it happened.
Yes.
Yeah. And I accept that if I'm sensitive about any topic outside myself, it's 9/11.
Okay.
Right? I accept that. Fortunately, the show doesn't depict it. It does occasionally have a certain flippancy about it.
Yes.
Now, I won't whinge about that. It's just not a tone I would strike.
No.
But I think like more and more I see 9/11 memes on Instagram. And maybe that's representative of the fact that, there are a significant number of users for whom the attacks are purely historic, like Holocaust jokes. And I know the internet is crammed with edgelords, and we were all teenagers once scrolling through Wikipedia. Remember that?
Yeah.
But I think getting older is just going, There's also a snide joke about school shooters being white and how everyone ignores them because they're white. The point isn't explicitly made, but it's the implication, until they ditch the layers and make it explicit a few episodes later.
Yeah. There's a lot of that as well, isn't it? It's not just using the whole being Muslim in the wake of 9/11. It's not just using that. It's basically just kind of like any racial disparity. kind of gets lampooned a little bit. Like the Rami learns about coding. Is that what it's called?
Code switching.
Code switching, that's it. He learns about code switching from...
Is that a thing about like Arabs and being good at coding? Was that a...
No. I genuinely couldn't remember.
Because Rami Youssef actually is in Mr. Robot as a coder.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He works with Elliot at, All Safe or whatever.
Right, okay. No. Yeah, the idea is that, code switching is like in public.
Yeah.
You tone down your Arabness.
Yes.
To become more accepted.
Yes.
That's kind of what the show is doing. And he learns that from a black kid who's visiting his uncle in jail, who's kind of code switched to like this 80s... Like,
black stereotype.
Yeah. So,
fascism and nizzle, all that kind of...
Yeah, exactly. And he's saying, my uncle was like... he was thrown in prison in the 80s, so it'd be a culture shock to him to see me as I actually am. Also, being yourself in public is for white people only.
Yeah.
And it's just little things like that. It's like, no, hang on.
Right.
Don't just like... throw that out there.
It's like no one's themselves in public. White people are famously, if you've ever listened to a black comedian, we are repressed. If anyone's not themselves in public, it's us. Believe me.
It just kind of feels like, those type of people that are...
Like, you don't own that.
Well, it's not just that, but the type of people that were like, they really want you to ask them about their day.
Sure.
So they never actually tell you what they want to tell you. They're waiting for you to ask them.
Right.
So they'll come to drop hints being like, oh, God.
I'm mad today.
Yeah, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Oh, just so tired,
Yeah.
And then just waiting for you to go, oh, why?
Yes.
It's like, that's what it feels like the show's doing. It's like, oh yeah, white people, only white tears can get things done.
Right.
You're like, I'm not gonna pick up on that.
Again, I'm not offended by it. I wonder what, considering that most of the people, look, that stuff is in like all shows now.
No, but that's why it's starting to feel like that.
Yeah. I don't know what they imagine we are, like, what are we supposed to feel or think about that?
Yeah.
Are we supposed to kind of go, haha, yeah, we are like that, but like not take it personally, but kind of like what do they imagine the response is to
or
that?
do they think that like we don't know? So it's like, oh, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah,
and that kind of goes back to the point I was making about like I don't know what the show is expecting of me as like a viewer. It's like, does it think that it's teaching me stuff, or does it think that
almost certainly
I'm going to be laughing with it or offended by it? I don't really know what it's.
Well, this is kind of it feels bizarre making earnest points about a silly cartoon.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't let the fact of its comic nature act as a bulwark against criticism, right?
Yeah.
Because the program makers, they might well say, don't take it seriously. But they are obviously using it as a vehicle to talk about serious issues.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So like when Ben Shapiro, remember he railed against WAP?
Oh, yeah.
When that came out? The internet vibrated a buzz with you lose a virgin and don't you know that a woman gets wet and like you don't satisfy your wife, obviously. Whenever you critique an aspect of modern culture, you risk being written off as stuffy or unworldly. But we haven't worried about that before, so we shouldn't worry about it now.
I suppose not.
Do you know what I mean? So like on 9/12 in the show, all the kids are being unpleasant to Rumi. The character's Rumi, isn't it? The teacher makes a concerted effort to put him at ease by bringing in like cultural trinkets and overselling how welcome he is. I get it's a joke, but we've talked about this point before. Of course, performative or desperate liberalism is annoying.
Yeah.
But it's been made so that you can't win.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we have a friend, for instance, whose politics and sensibilities we do not share. She went into some, I think it was like a BLM encounter session or something like that. I don't know what she spoke about or what she said, but she was accused of trauma dumping.
Right.
God knows her beliefs wind me up.
Okay.
But she didn't have to be there, right? It's like, right or wrong, she thought it was the right thing to do. You just cannot win with these people. And by these people, it's not what you think. I mean black people.
Okay.
I would say, considering the context of it being September 12th in the show, the teacher can be forgiven for inelegance.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you brought up the Howard Stern like live reaction to it, right?
Yes.
Where, they were like, people were calling in.
Yeah, looking at the tower going like, oh, it's these fucking towel heads.
Yeah.
If you see like a towel head about, like, I don't think anyone says hit them, but one goes like, go into your local delis and cause a scene and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and a lot of racial, like these, I don't think anyone says sand nigger then. But yeah, like towel head, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you kind of go, ooh, like when I first heard it, it's like, ooh, I wasn't that familiar with Howard Stern, you know, or his audience. So you go like, ooh, that's like surprising. But then you forgive them. Like, I'll forgive you on 9/11.
Yeah.
Being, like, having vitriol. Because actually, I think that's most racist language and stuff. It's born out of that. It's that you're angry with the person, and you use what's to hand.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
If you're fat, you're going to get called fat. If you're black, you're going to get called a nigger. Like, that's just how a certain type of person is.
Yeah.
If you can say that's what racism is, okay. But I think what most people mean by racist is something deeper that I don't think is true in a lot of people who use racist language. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Anyway, yes, I think on 9/12, the fact that she's, like, again, I know it's a stupid cartoon show, but the fact that she's, like, even trying to, like, oh, no, it's okay, like, you're very welcome. Isn't that better than, you know, oh, I'm now suspicious of you? Sure, the best thing is just being normal and cool about it. But how, as it goes,
how could you be on a day like that?
Well,
where you're gonna be very aware of
you're gonna
how
be aware
you're
of
behaving towards someone.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that if there was an equivalent thing now, it's not like, and I went in somewhere and there was an Arab person, I'm not going to be weird with them. Like, but you know, I'm a, what's the right word? Well, I'm an adult for one thing. But you know what I mean? It's, as it goes, I don't think it's that bad that she was like that.
Okay.
But, like, the whole attitude seems to be, in the show, seems to be one of, because she's like, oh, his name is Ramachaya. He's like, you don't have to call me Ramachaya. It's Rumi, same as it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Eye roll, dopey Caucasian. That's the vibe of it, isn't it? It's like, just give people a break.
Yeah.
Like, just give people a fucking break. There's a lamb in it, talking lamb.
Because it's an adult animated comedy. So
yes,
you got to have
talking
lamb.
animal.
Yeah.
And Lammy uses the term misogynist at one point, and Rumi says he doesn't know what that is. It's possibly a joke about him only being 12, but to me, it was an allusion to what I've said before. We used to say sexist. Okay. I don't know if that's what that is, but I feel like misogyny was a word that came into my lexicon when I was a lot older.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I grew up with that word. That wasn't a thing.
Okay.
There's a moment where a Harry Potter obsessed kid says he doesn't think 9/11 was Arabs. He thinks it was he who must not be named. Little throwaway joke. I mention it only to point out an irony. So you know who Majid Nawaz is, right?
I think so.
I'll explain it to anyone who might not. He was an Islamist radical, not not a murderer, but he promoted, like, the idea of a caliphate and all that kind of thing. And he was part of an organization that was deemed a terrorist organization. And he was arrested in Egypt as part of that organization, tortured in... Actually, I'm not sure if he was tortured. He might well have been, but he's certainly with friends that were tortured. And in prison, completely converted out of it, and is now like a leading Muslim reformer. And he uses Voldemort as an analogy for the taboo around admitting that the ideology of Islamism is the cause of jihadist terrorism. It's called the Voldemort effect.
Oh, right.
Like the elephant in the room. We don't want to say what it is, but we all know that's what it is.
Okay.
So I thought that was an interesting thing to have in this show about Muslim terrorism.
Do you think that's an irony that the show is aware of?
No.
Okay.
I highly doubt it.
Okay.
It's not an America bashing show. It can be a pest, but I don't think its heart is totally rotten. In fact, there are one or two moments that, arguably unwittingly, paint America in an optimistic light. So, like, when Rumi's sister suggests running for president, like class president or whatever. No, for actual president. Her mother says that nobody with the name Hussein will ever be president. And then Rumi's like, what about someone with Hussein's a middle name? Yeah, like, haha, on the nose joke.
Yeah.
But, the fact is, at that time, they can't imagine it. That suggests that society got better.
Yeah, and not that much later.
No, exactly. Like,
7 years.
Yeah. Anyhow, I don't hate it. It's better than most adult animations as far as I can tell, not having watched a lot of them. What would you say? Do you think it's better than most of them?
I think my not confusion, because it just kind of like uncertainty as to
what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
As
to what relationship I had and what relationship I think I was supposed to have with the show. That kind of overshadowed a lot of it.
Okay.
I guess it's like on par with, like, it's not the worst of the worst.
Right.
I think there were a couple of jokes in there where I was like, oh, okay. But I think it's got that one thing that a lot of adult animated comedies don't have, so I don't think I could fairly compare it. Okay,
fair enough. But yeah, when it settled into its tempo and I became relatively comfortable and confident in its handling of the attacks and its posture, it was enough of a breeze, you know? Timothy Oliphant pops up, but it's better than Havoc, at least.
Right.
As does Kieran Culkin. All I did was picture him in the recording booth in Succession.
Yeah.
you know?
Because it really does. I don't know whether it's just him in particular, but like when I heard Timothy Oliphant's voice, I was like, oh, that's Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah.
But then I was still like, okay, the character is here. But whenever Kieran Culkin was talking, I was just, that's Kieran Culkin.
Yeah, Kieran Culkin is just Kieran Culkin. Like, he needs to do something different. But, yeah, and it's ironic, isn't it? Because his character design is meant to look nothing like him.
Yes.
It's like a bald guy, right? Like in his 40s, 50s or whatever. Actually, well, Kieran Culkin is in his 40s, but in my head, that's not... 40 doesn't look like that.
He's always going to be Wells, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I chuckled once or twice at the Middle East style singing, that they kind of do an exaggerated version of it.
Okay.
I didn't know about the Tanner scale and its role in school sports. That is mental.
Yeah, the fact that happened.
Yeah, basically it was a thing where, to avoid litigation from competing basketball teams from other schools, they would measure the boys' puberty. Yeah. How far along they were. So not just penis size, but like how many pubes they had and all that kind of thing. Yeah. To make sure that it was kind of equal play.
Yeah, because that's
mad.
That wasn't just once or twice. I think the show gives you a date scale.
Yeah, it says they stopped it.
Yeah, and it's like 20, 30 years this went on for, I think.
Yeah.
So it's like people had to be aware of this. Was this?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Was this just like an accepted thing that no one talked about? Or have we just like, everyone was like, oh, that's not on. Have we just forgotten it?
I don't think it was used a lot.
Okay.
I think it was used in places. I think I Googled it when it came up. And yeah, it doesn't just mean that you look at the dick and do it. It means other things too. I think like that version of it was rare.
Okay.
I think so. I think it was rare. Because I feel like I would see more high school comedies where that was a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it was just like an accepted part of, just what happened. Like you used to get the cane, you know? It's like, just people did that.
Well, it's interesting because it's another weird little thing because that episode... the episode where that's brought up, you get, like, the show kind of breaks its format a little bit because you get text coming up on screen saying, look, I know this is a stupid comedy show, but this is real. We need to talk about this.
Yeah. America needs to talk about
this. But then the plot of the episode is him trying to pass the Tanner scale test.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so you've flagged this as a problem.
Yeah.
But it's the main character of your show is actively trying to like...
Yeah, but he's 12. That's
I know,
he can be like you would be forgiven.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? It's like it's not like it's criticizing it, but it's. But it's like, I know you're getting.
It's like a triumph when he passes, isn't it?
But it would be.
Okay.
It would be, wouldn't it? If you were 12 and that would be a triumph. But that doesn't mean that it's not fucked up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see a problem with that because as age. If the father was like, they treated it completely seriously and the father wanted to pass it or whatever. That's all I've got to say really about number one Happy Family USA.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because I don't know how funny the show is underneath.
No.
It's like the discussions that
it's not hilarious. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just fine.
I think that the I know it's completely different tonally, but that single monologue in Midnight Mass does a lot more for this topic of like how Muslims were treated in the wake of 9/11 than this show does.
Sure.
And I know, again, they have two completely different ambitions. This is kind of bringing it up, but also trying to have fun with it.
Right.
Whereas that was very much this is my life experience. That I'm living with.
Yes.
Part of the reason I'm on this fucking island in the middle of nowhere is because of this.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't resonate with it.
No, me neither. Yeah. I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone. But I didn't. Considering that this could have been very hateful.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Okay.
You know, so I give it props for that much.
Okay.
Okay, Cleaner. What's this one about, Jord? So you watched this quite a while before I did.
Yeah, I'm surprised you even watched it.
It met the criteria.
Okay.
That's always the thing. If it meets the criteria, it has to be watched.
Okay. My word isn't enough for you, is it?
What do you mean? Well, I still have to watch it.
Yeah, but I was like, there's no point.
No point watching it?
Yeah, don't bother.
Oh, no,
it's not anything.
You'll never make me do that.
Okay.
No. If you say a show is bad, I probably wouldn't watch the show.
Okay.
But no, films, I watch everything. You know this.
All right.
Come on now. You said it wasn't a review.
Yeah, I didn't think it was.
Well, now it is.
Okay.
But what's it about?
Well, considering there are 3 films that came out very close together.
That was one of the reasons I'm doing it, so we can sort of pull into the
and
same
none
basket.
of them were review worthy, so I'm surprised this is the one that's like broken through.
Yeah.
But anyway, Daisy Ridley, she can climb.
Yeah.
she's a window cleaner. This has nothing to do with her climbing.
No.
She gets trapped on the side of the building as eco-terrorists take over an energy conference that's happening inside the building as she's cleaning it. This has nothing to do with the fact that she can climb. She has to break into the building, defuse the situation, stop the terrorist, and save her autistic brother that is trapped inside that building. This has nothing to do with the fact that she can climb.
Yeah. It's Die Hard with Daisy Ridley, basically. So yeah, with her short hair, tattoos, fingerless biker gloves, vaguely Keira Knightley mouth, and overall Daisy Ridleyness, she looks less like an action hero than a barmaid at a chic craft ale bar we wouldn't go to.
It's funny, isn't it? Because they've tried to kind of roughen her up a little bit, make her look like
her up.
a bit punky,
like,
bit kind of.
She's tough, you know.
Yeah, she's tough. Yeah. She's a tough old bird.
Yes.
But then when she talks, it's just Daisy Ridley.
It's Daisy Ridley.
There's very posh.
It's Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
Mouth. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, this is not.
Yeah.
This is not working.
Daisy Ridley is not a bloody ex-soldier.
No.
Nor is she a window cleaner. Any more than Jason Statham's a lake poet. Or a painter during the Harlem Renaissance. She has an autistic brother, like you said, played by an autistic actor.
Okay.
Who freaks out in public with his Thor hammer. Fine. It's a fall from grace for Clive Owen, who blessedly isn't around for very long.
Yeah.
It's just a spot of stunt casting. He's the main villain that then gets dispatched.
Do you think he was like just someone called in a favour? Because it's weird to bring him back.
Well, it's
to get rid of him very quickly.
It's his first film in 5 years.
Yeah.
Very disappointing. But the real archbaddie, played by Taz Skylar, is annoying as sin.
Yeah.
Incredibly annoying.
Yeah.
It's all a big mixture of cliche, sanctimony, and dumbness. So let's start with the first. It's a Die Hard clone. There have been many. Some better than others. This is in the category of others. It shares much in common with G20, which is another film from this year we couldn't be bothered to review.
Yeah.
The terrorists in both share essentially the same motive: make the wealthy and powerful confess their sins. Both have terrible scripts, as though written by a sixth former, to be generous. The same quality of production, that same kind of boring, cheap aesthetic.
Yeah.
You know? The Sanctimonious. There's a scene early on where an evil executive, all in a suit and evil, is in a lift with a pregnant Spanish cleaner, and he says, Jesus, breathe in, you know, she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And you better not drop now, you should be at home. And then Daisy Ridley responds, maybe if you paid proper maternity leave, she would be. That's the standard of subtlety and contrived soapboxing in the film.
Yeah.
It was at that point I checked whether the film was written by a woman. It wasn't.
Oh, right.
It was 3 men, nominally. I'm not saying an action hero would be opposed to adequate compensation, but an action hero just wouldn't... I don't know. It's not my kind of action hero.
Okay.
That's that much I know.
Yeah.
Incidentally, a Spanish cleaner. Of course, there are Spanish cleaners in the UK, but it felt like they were doing a version of the Mexican maid thing.
Yeah.
You know? Like, over here, it would more likely be, if not an old white dearie, a woman of Caribbean or Polish provenance, right?
Yeah.
That's just the fact of it. As for the anti-humanist ideology of the bad guys, it's expressed broadly and flatly and without nuance. It's not a position I support in any way. I'm just saying that the monologues expounding upon the crusade are cookie-cutter, filler, wake-up, sheeple shtick.
Yes.
But I'm with Jordan Peterson. If you think there are too many people on the planet and want to cut down the population, start with yourself. The dumb. I don't know how her climbing around her flat as a kid, like a domestic parkouress, relates to window cleaning.
No, yeah.
They're both not on the floor.
Yeah, because the fact that she's capable of taking on the bad guys, again, has nothing to do with the fact that she can climb.
No, she never uses those skills.
No, it's the fact that she was an ex-soldier.
Yeah.
That's like what makes her so capable.
Yes.
In fact, isn't that the thing that they flag up when she's shooting into the street?
That she's a markswoman, yeah.
Yeah.
That's her thing.
Because the bad guys make her shoot into the streets so that suspicion will be centered on her.
Yes.
And the police are immediately like, no, there's no way you could shoot into the street and not hit anyone.
Right.
She must know where she's aiming.
Exactly.
Let's look into this woman.
Yes.
It's like, wouldn't you just be grateful? They're like, oh, thank God no one got hurt by that maniac shooting into the streets.
Right.
Also, she's like 50 stories up.
Yeah, we'll come to that.
So, like, the bullets, they move all the way down.
I'm pretty sure that if I fire blindly into the street from that height, the odds of hitting a person would be rather low. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it would be rare if you did hit somebody.
Yeah.
I could be completely wrong there, but that intuitively, it feels like, no, bullets move in wind and things happen, and people from that height, they're quite small targets, and there's a lot more ground than there is people.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
There's a weird recurring Piers Morgan thing Like, he comes up a few times.
Is he like brought up in a positive or a negative context? I can't quite remember. Because it doesn't somebody.
Well, the brother likes him, but she doesn't.
Yeah, at one point he's like, "What would Piers Morgan do?"
Yeah, he watches him a lot, and she's like, basically she says he's a cunt.
Yeah,
and he's like, "No, I like him." And then he comes up again later, and then I think there's a payoff at the end somehow. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think they're just like, "Oh, fucking Piers Morgan."
Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah, like you said, her not hitting anybody with the firing into the street.
Yeah. The
Sergeant Gal in this case. Yeah, she theorizes that she must be a markswoman because she's so good. She almost hits them but doesn't. Now, you're just thinking in the film, not only does she not hit them, she fires like she's trolling shooting them. Like she hits the wing mirror of a car, or she hits like by someone's foot.
Yeah.
It's like, just really not hit them.
Yeah.
Like, why would you risk? Don't even be close. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think the idea is that she has to look like she's actually trying to hit people.
I guess
the bad guy's watching.
I can see 50 stories down or however fucking it is. Anyway, later she explains the importance of their mission to her brother in terms that he'll understand. Thanos and the Infinity Stones, right? Now, this might be a good analogy for a child, but I'm given to understand, generally speaking, autistic people struggle with metaphor.
Oh, yeah.
I think that, I googled it afterwards. Like, I don't think that works.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's generally speaking.
Yeah.
The dude playing her brother is autistic. I'm not neurotypicalsplaining.
No.
But the film isn't exactly offering a nuanced portrait of autism, right?
No.
It's playing things with some magnitude. So it feels like if you said, generally, and if they would go, well, actually, some autistic people do. It's like, okay, fine, but don't pretend that you're doing like you're playing things big. And in the final fight, how the fuck does she get the trigger thing off the guy's wrist?
Yeah.
Like, I thought scaling was a superpower. She's not fucking Darren Brown. So the film was directed by Martin Campbell. Right?
Okay.
He directed Edge of Darkness, which was a great British miniseries of the 80s. You won't see a reputable list of best British shows that doesn't feature it.
Okay.
He went on to direct GoldenEye, one of the best Bond films that reinvented the character for a new era. He went on to direct Casino Royale, which completely reinvented the Bond character from the ground floor.
Yes.
In between, he did The Mask of Zorro, which is solid. Okay, he did Green Lantern too. They can't all be strikes. I'd be inclined to make the point I've made many times before that a generation of directors seems to be on the decline. But it turns out he's 81, which was a bit of a surprise. Like, he's older than I thought he would be.
Okay.
I thought he'd be in his, 60s, maybe.
Yeah.
Though that said, if he's directing the 80s. But you just don't think of, like, a Bond director being that old.
No.
So I don't blame him, really. For all his faults, it doesn't bear the stamp of an octogenarian helmsman. If you told me this was a first-time director, I'd believe you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would want to believe you.
Yeah, just direct something safe.
Yeah.
And show that you're capable of doing that.
Yeah, because there's an excuse for it if it's a first-time director.
Yeah.
It featured one thing I liked. There's a bit where a grenade explodes and blasts a woman out of a high floor.
Okay.
All right, as deaths go. Otherwise, its one strength is that it made me want to watch Die Hard and remember how things used to be better.
Right.
This is not Die Hard, it's Try Hard. But they should have skipped to the sequel.
Try harder?
There you go.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for Cleaner, right?
Yeah, well, I had nothing to say about it, which is why I was so surprised that you were like, let's talk about it. I was like, fuck, what do we talk about? But you've managed, so there you go. Don't watch it.
Don't watch it. Elsbeth Season 2. Okay, we talked about Season 1, didn't we? We reviewed that. Is it worth premising it? Not really, right?
Not really.
She helps the police. She's a really smart lawyer that helps the police solve murders.
Yeah.
And it's a How Catch 'Em show rather than a whodunit.
Yes. So I think there's one episode where you don't know who the murderer is.
The finale, yeah.
Yeah. Or two, because there's one earlier in the season as well.
Okay, maybe two then.
But yeah, for the most part, yeah, you see the murder in the beginning, and then Elsbeth is introduced to the situation. And
yes.
She usually has an instinct straight away that they're guilty, but then she has to actually prove it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first season was 10 episodes.
Yeah.
This season is 20.
Yeah, old school network.
Yeah, and you feel like the Kings are kind of, because it's Michelle and Robert King. You feel like this is them, like they feel like they're in their element here when they're mass producing a show like this. There's even a little remark that's made in the pilot where it's kind of, it's in universe, but you can tell it's the characters are actually talking about the show.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh man, it just felt like we were getting into a rhythm and then we had to leave for the summer.
Oh, the premiere, you mean? Sorry, yeah. The first episode of season 2.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant.
Sorry.
Because they only had 10 episodes in the first one, and then they come back with episode 11 essentially. And they're like, God, it's so annoying we had to stop for a while.
Yeah, and they're like, because everyone left New York, you know? It's kind of like a sort of joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but given that the format is so rigidly adhered to, it's a show that needs other things to make it pop, right?
Yeah.
You have the satire of the bougie types, which is fun, sometimes more, sometimes less. The show is like proper cutting edge of the moment, like with its satire. The episodes that stand out from this season, for me, include the premiere with Nathan Lane.
Yeah.
And the Johan Griffith art installation episode.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was good, because that really did feel like, they've tapped into something quite modern there. Something quite current.
Yeah.
And something very specific to New York as well, I think.
Something I've seen, I don't know if it's unique to New York, but I've seen like Instagram videos of, there's like one in Dublin, I think.
Yeah.
Is that the one in that episode's Dublin? But yeah, there are cities around the world that have installed these things where you can just look into the other city in real time.
Yeah, it might not be New York. Because, if the real one is Dublin, I think in the show it's Scottish.
It's Scottish, okay, yeah. I feel like there's one in Dublin, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have Carrie Preston's performance as Elsbeth, which is probably Marmite.
Yeah.
But I like her. But it's not enough. Those things aren't enough, right?
Yeah, it's sort of unflinching in the rigidness of its format.
Absolutely. Like, the absence of gravitas feels like the show's mission statement.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's pure escapist fun. But the show needs some dramatic heft for me.
Yeah.
And the Kings are more than capable of providing that.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I think season 2 was the time to upset the formula, and they didn't. Now, maybe like if this lasts 8 seasons or whatever, and in season 4 they start fucking with it, and we were watching it, we were binging it, you might go, oh, good, they're doing something. But in real time, it felt like season 2 was the time to change things up, you know?
Yeah.
So Michael Emerson's casting in a recurring capacity suggested a breath of life.
Yeah.
And whenever he shows up waspier than ever, he's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just nice seeing these two finally being on screen together as well, because they're married in real life, aren't
They've been on screen together before.
Oh, have they really?
Yeah. I think so. No, sorry. Person of interest, she plays a love interest for him.
Oh, okay.
And they don't share the scene, but she plays his mother in Lost.
Oh, right.
Yeah. She gives birth to baby Ben, and then she dies, and then she turns up as a vision. But yeah, she plays his mum in Lost.
Okay, well, this is my first time seeing them together since I knew that they were married. And that was very nice.
That's just nice, yeah.
Yeah, and not just because they do have good chemistry, but because it's Michael Emerson. I just like seeing him...
That he has a nice wife.
Not just that, but seeing him show up being like a bastard, you know? It's just, that's so wonderful to see all the time.
And what's good, like, between this, Evil, and Lost... It's a different shade of villainy every time.
Yeah.
You know, which is great. And he plays Judge. He's a judge in this. Judge Crawford, almost like a pantomime villain.
Yes.
I love it, you know?
Yeah.
Had he been a more fixed presence and had they leaned more into the Sherlock Moriarty thing, that could have been the missing ingredient.
Yeah.
I think. But he dies.
Yeah. Not only does he die, but it feels like there's long stretches where you don't see him.
I know.
Considering he's supposed to be a constant thorn in Elsbeth's side.
Yeah.
Like actively fucking with their investigations and kind of taking resources away from the police to get her to back off.
Yeah.
There are whole episodes and like mini arcs that go by where you just don't see him.
Yeah, it's kind of more like an old school network thing where they just, we have that ongoing thing and we can ignore it for some episodes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's very old school in that way. And it was surprising when he died. It was like dramatically surprising. But come on, man.
Yeah.
Don't just kill. It's Michael Emerson. Why wouldn't you fucking use him? It better be because he's booked and he's going to be a regular on another show. It better be that. He couldn't do more.
And it's not even a case of the Kings didn't realise what they were losing. I mean, they worked with him on Evil. They know how capable he is and how up for it.
Yeah, definitely.
He is.
Yeah.
So I do get that. Yeah, like you said, it's a shock when he dies.
Yeah.
And I can see that working.
Yeah.
In a show that wasn't as superficial as Elsbeth is.
Yeah.
I would totally believe that this was designed to be a show that they're writing on the side of something else.
That's the thing. I think we said that was season 1, maybe.
Yeah.
They
probably thought Evil will carry on.
Yeah.
And this will allow us to just let off some steam and write something fun and breezy.
And that's the thing, like The Good Fight, the spin-off of The Good Wife, I'm not a big fan of that. But that was considered like even though that goofy sensibility came in with that show, that was considered like, that's their main important, like, Trump's America show.
Okay.
And then Evil started midway through that run, and that felt like their blowing off steam thing, where it was demons and it was big. They said, we've explored the ethics of law and courtrooms. Like, now we just want to do evil, good and evil. There's such thing as evil, and so that was and then evil became like the prestige great show.
Yeah.
And then Elsbeth came along, and it was like, okay, cool. That now they get to blow up steam there. It's like the baton's been handed on, but now we only have Elsbeth.
Yes.
And this new show, Happy Face, which I think is a miniseries that's not good at all.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like, I really want... Look, they've done a lot of good things. I'm not going to...
Yeah.
But I want to have a proper substantial show again.
Well, it's just surprising. Like, if Elsbeth is designed to be light and breezy, much like the character, then fine. I'm not that.
No, it does the job.
Mad,
it does the job, and for what it is, it's pretty much the best version of it.
It is, but it's just like they did The Good Wife, and not only did they do The Good Wife, Elsbeth is from The Good Wife, and so it's hard to see the show kind of miss big dramatic opportunities and just stick to the safe zone.
Yeah.
When The Good Wife never felt like this. It never felt like it was just doing the same thing.
Well, The Good Wife is a lot more traditional in a way. Like, it's a great show, brilliantly written show. One of the best ever, I would say. But yeah, like that plays out. It's a network drama, and there's humor in it.
Yeah.
But the Kings, I think, when they got a little bit more power and they weren't on network, they went to cable streaming rather.
Yeah.
They leaned into like their absurd sense of humor, which just isn't in. Toward the end of The Good Wife, there are flashes of it.
Yeah.
But the early seasons of The Good Wife, it's just like it's straight up drama with comedy moments. Yeah. So they've evolved, but it's like now they've got Elsbeth, and I admire it if their thing is no, we keep it lightweight. That's the point. We never do overarching stories. Like, fine, but please do something else as well then, because they're really good.
Yes.
And they're letting the side down at the moment. A little bit,
definitely. Yeah.
I thought the finale was fun.
Yeah, because it felt like it was finally building on its own mythology a little bit.
Yeah, and it was an actual murder mystery.
Yeah.
Musical number. I know you don't like musical numbers.
I mean, that's kind of out of nowhere, but also fine.
Yeah,
this feels like a kind of show you can get away with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they assemble a bunch of familiar faces.
Yeah.
I think unless the show undergoes radical changes, we probably don't need to talk about it again.
No,
we'll see what season 3 is. But this might be it.
And I think if season 3 is just more of this, then I might even just stop watching it entirely.
I won't do that. Like, I will keep watching it.
Okay.
Because I like them. It's a well-written show. Not entirely, it's not doing it for me dramatically, but like, it's good enough that I'll keep watching. And it's them, so I'll hope that it gets better.
Yeah, of course.
But in terms of talking about it, if it is what it is, then we've done it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, when we were kind of watching this, it was reaching the point where I was just not watching the show for like 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I just watch all the episodes in one go. Because it's not appointment television.
It's not. No.
You don't need to keep up with Elsbeth because every episode is kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Some are better than others, but for the most part, you can just dip in and out every now and again.
Yes.
And I know there are some shows for which that is totally the point.
Yeah, and this is one of those shows.
And if this is one of those shows, then okay, I guess it is doing what it's doing.
Yes.
I think part of the problem, though, is, as we've alluded to, we know the Kings are capable of better.
Yeah, and also I suppose just our own temperaments is why wouldn't you try and make appointment television?
Yeah.
Like putting all that effort into making something deliberately breezy. I mean, that's a show of professionalism, really, because they've done other things.
Yeah.
That they've produced so much television now that they're just going, this will be our breezy one.
Yeah.
They're that much of a powerhouse.
Because it does.
I don't even know how involved they are with, because they have none of the episodes of that season were written by either of them.
Oh, really?
He directed 1 or 2.
Okay.
But written none. They didn't write any of them.
Okay, because it does feel like it is a cheeky little show. It does have like a flavour of personality. Like the title sequences, occasionally they'll update them to kind of reflect the content of the episode.
Yeah.
Like in the finale, Elsbeth is in jail, and so bars come down over the title card. And I think there's an episode that's set in like a skyscraper, and that skyscraper is added to the skyline of that episode. I think the whole point is no one lives there because it shakes in the wind. So you see this like floppy skyscraper in the credits. And they'll do like, never as absurd as SpongeBob, but they'll do kind of like goofy title cards sometimes where Elsbeth will say, "Oh, nothing will become of this," and then it'll say 27 minutes later. So it does occasionally feel like it's
it has a goofiness to it.
It's letting that goofiness out beyond just the goofiness of its main character.
Yeah,
it's just not enough.
It's not enough,
especially when there's 20 episodes in a season. And the third season is starting in September, I assume, right? Like it's going to be back soon.
It's no, it's not enough. If your diet is a show, this doesn't take all. this is just like a confection. It's not.
Yeah.
It's confectionery. It's pink and it's cakey and yeah. No, you're not going to get everything you need out of Elsbeth.
Yeah.
But if you're like us and you fucking watch everything, it's like it's an okay ingredient in the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Prop. What's it about?
Well, it's not what I thought it was about.
What do you think it was about?
Admittedly, knowing nothing about it,
Okay.
not seeing trailers or anything,
Yeah.
I just assumed that this was going to be The Ring for the 2020s. Where
The Ring.
Yeah, where people get like, in The Ring, you watch a video, you have 7 days and then you die. I thought it'd be like, oh, if you get airdropped this video,
Right. Okay.
you watch it, you die after watching it. And it's going to be this like horror thing where it's basically just that idea, but like updated for modern audiences.
Okay.
So imagine my surprise when it turns out to kind of be like this
Hitchcockian.
Yeah, kind of thriller film set in like a restaurant.
I didn't know anything about it either.
No.
Yeah. But I didn't think anything. That's curious. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's about this main character who she's a therapist who historically has survived domestic abuse.
Yeah.
And she's going on the first date in like a very long time.
Yeah.
This guy she's kind of been talking to online. She gets to this restaurant. It's all big and posh and wonderful. And as she sits down, someone starts airdropping her memes.
Yes.
That become more and more kind of like
aggressive
and focused in on her specifically. So again, like when I thought this was going to be a horror film, I thought, oh really?
Right.
The Elmo meme against the flaming back. I'm supposed to be scared of that, am I?
Yeah.
And then it became clear, like, oh, I'm not supposed to be scared.
Yes.
Fair enough. Yeah, basically, the guy that she's on a date with, there's someone that is like in her house, and they're like, if you don't do what we tell you, your family's going to die.
Yeah, they want her to kill her date, basically.
Yes.
So she has to keep buying time, distracting, like all that kind of managing the situation.
Yeah, while she's being airdropped messages and instructions and all of that.
All that. So yeah, yet another thriller that asks to be described as Hitchcockian. It's a problem-solving film, right? From Christopher Landon, the guy behind the Happy Death Days films.
Oh, okay.
And Freaky.
Yeah.
And Heart Eyes. His films tend to occupy a similar level, I would say. But yeah, another sort of bottle thriller in that phone booth carry-on locked vein.
Yes.
Megan Fahey, I think that's how it's pronounced. She's a good lead. We are with her, I think.
Yeah.
Given the contained setting, they try to keep it visually interesting. But unfortunately, the composites are rather ugly, I found. Yeah. I guessed who's behind it early on, but that's okay.
Well, it's kind of a problem with the format, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's only a handful of characters you ever get introduced to.
Right. Who's the guy that doesn't seem to be important to the plot?
Yeah.
That's who it is. It's implausible, like nutty, really. Kind of bonkers.
Oh, God, yeah.
But tense enough, entertaining enough. The final act is truly bonkers.
Yes.
But it's a 90-minute thriller, in and out, causing no damage in its wake. That's kind of all I got to say about it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's mad. Not mad and like, oh, it's out there. And just like, in terms of plausibility, it's completely unbelievable.
Yeah.
But fine. That's what it is, I guess.
That's one of those films that were like, it relies on a lot of things. Because it ends up being like a... like someone...
Spoiler alert?
Spoiler alert? I don't know. Do you want to spoiler? I'm not going to reveal who the guy is.
Oh, right. Okay, fine.
But I'm going to reveal his plan.
Oh, yeah, fine. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it turns out he works for the mayor's office. Because the guy she's on a date with is a photographer.
Yeah.
He's taken photographs of the mayor before. He has evidence of a scandal.
Yes.
And so this guy's been hired to take him out.
Yeah.
But then he kind of figures out, he's going on a date with this woman who historically has killed a person.
Yeah, she killed her abusive husband.
Oh, no, she didn't. He killed himself.
Yeah, sorry, but the thinking is that she killed him.
The thinking is that she killed him.
So like, she's done it again.
Yeah. And she prescribes these drugs which I can create a cocktail that will kill a person. So that will No, it's utterly... Yeah. And also she has cameras installed in her house so she can see I'm not lying about holding the son hostage. And there's a lot of things that have to be, like, for this to be more convenient for him than just killing her.
Yes.
Killing the guy. Especially since when, like, at the end of the film, when she kind of, like, disrupts his plan.
Yeah.
And he realizes, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
He just starts, like, open fire into the restaurant.
Bonkers, it is. Like, I'll give them credit for one thing. There's a side twist that I didn't anticipate.
Okay.
Which is in the beginning of the film, when she's still, like, shaky.
Yeah.
There's a guy at the door, and you're like, oh, who is that? And it's like just what's he say he's there for? It's to like maintain her something.
Oh, yeah, to check her.
I've got to check your electricity or whatever. And like, okay, the point of that was that she's tense and that men, and then he ends up being the guy in the house. Like, okay, that's not something I saw coming. So that was clever. A Trojan horsing it.
Yeah.
You bury him in another point being made.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, disposable. Like, it's not. I'm not going to remember it a lot.
Probably not.
But I thought it was okay, and I wouldn't. If you wanted like a 19-minute little thriller.
Yeah.
I'd recommend it.
Yeah, you get film. I don't think this was. I think this was in cinemas. I don't think this was like a Netflix release or anything.
As far as I know, yeah.
But I think it is the type of film you'll be looking for something to watch on Netflix. You'll stumble across this. You'll watch it and you'll go, yeah.
It's an easy watch.
Yeah.
And a good date movie, actually, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally a date movie. But yeah, it's that kind of film, isn't it? I think that's it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you like the guy in it, the date? Do you think he was...
I mean, he's just a good-looking guy that just does all the right things, says all the right things.
Yeah. Because there was a part of me, I don't know whether you were the same, but there was a part of me thinking, like, if I was on this date with this woman, I mean, I never would be, because look at her.
Yeah, of course.
She would never want me.
Well, ditto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if I was on a date with someone behaving like this, would I stay? What would I be reacting this way?
He doesn't need to. We would.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course we would. I put up with worse, believe me.
But there is a point where you're like, when he asks to move tables, and then the guy's like, don't move tables, and she's like, oh, let's go back to the original table.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Would I put up with this shit? I don't know.
You would.
I would I?
If it looked like her, yeah.
Okay.
Of course you would.
Well, because then you got to contend with the embarrassment of like, I've gotten the wait staff to do something that I'm now having to tell them not to do. Like, I'm embarrassed.
Let me just say the sentence that has oriented men's behaviour for all time ever.
Okay.
You might get to have sex with her.
Yeah, okay.
That's it. That's what everything ever comes down to.
Yeah.
Me wanting to be a writer. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
Everything. Anyway. Andor Season 2. It's Star Wars. I mean, what's the premise? It's before A New Hope. It's a direct prequel to Rogue One.
Yes.
Cassian Andor, he's a rebel.
I think they've done it so that you could literally, like, as soon as you watch the final episode, you could go straight into Rogue One.
Straight into Rogue One.
Yeah.
It's a very direct prequel.
Yeah. Well, it's basically like, I mean, yeah, Star Wars is Star Wars. It's not even like the MCU where it's like, oh, this is that and that's this. And Star Wars is literally like one story.
Yeah.
Of one type of thing.
We're going to talk about how it's different than Star Wars, but I just mean on a story level.
Yeah.
It's the rebels.
Yeah, no point.
New Hope.
Yeah, no point premising it. If you don't know the story of Star Wars, it's not going to mean anything to you anyway. But yeah, this is like, you've got like The Mandalorian, for example. Yeah. Which is like, what if Star Wars was like a Western?
A Western, yeah.
Then you've got Skeleton Crew from earlier this year. It's like, what if Star Wars was the Goonies. And there was pirates and Stephen King kids and everything.
Adventure King. Adventure film, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas this is, what if Star Wars was like important and good, man. In fact, the comparison I've seen is like, what if this was a Star Wars, but it was a HBO show? Like proper prestige TV.
If you like. Yeah. It's what if Star Wars was bureaucracy, I suppose, is like what I would... Because that just implies that it's good. And we can talk about whether it is or not.
Well, it's certainly
but I don't want to say,
itself.
What if Star Wars was really good? Like,
yeah.
Well, I can't answer that question because that...
Is that not what you saw?
Well, no, it's just that, like... To answer the question, I'd have to agree with the premise of it. And we can talk about whether it's good or not. Well, it's Star Wars as like a grounded and taken seriously.
Yeah. Well, do you at least agree that it's Star Wars conducting itself as though it's good?
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Because reception to this has been overwhelmingly positive from what I've seen. I think when we were talking about Arcane before, I said like, oh, people are saying it's the only series on IMDb where every episode is a 9 out of 10 or higher. I think this is the same now. In fact, I think this has beaten Arcane in terms of how highly it's rated from an episode to episode basis. Yeah, people love this shit.
Yeah. Did we review the first season?
We didn't. I think a couple of times we've alluded to the fact that we kind of missed Andor, but when this season...
No, I saw it.
No, well, like in terms of reviewing it, we missed it. Okay.
I feel like we must have mentioned it at least, just like, watch this. Maybe I flippantly, casually mentioned it.
It's possible you didn't
review it. Yeah, certainly didn't.
But we said like when the second season comes out, we'll talk about it properly.
Yeah.
And we're now at that point.
Okay. So the second season takes place a year after the first.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's a year after the first, then it's a year later, then it's another year later, then it's another year later.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It is. I just felt like, it's still 1 year after the first.
I think...
It's actually a year later.
I think every 3 episodes we jump a year.
That's the rationale for it, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the first season kind of did this, where it felt like every 3 episodes was its own kind of mini season.
Yeah.
But in this second season, it feels like that's a lot more literal, because there are big time jumps where characters
Okay, fine.
are like reintroducing themselves to each other, and like all of this stuff has happened in between like the previous episode and this one that we haven't seen.
Okay.
That reminded me of Arcane as well, weirdly, where like the first season felt like it had this very deliberate pace to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second season, it was like, oh, and by the way, this happened, this happened, this happened, and this happened. And you're like, whoa, there's a lot of ground you're not covering here, given like how thorough you were in the first season.
Okay.
I don't know if you felt the same.
Well, I don't remember season 1.
Okay.
And I didn't have it in me to go back to it.
Okay.
You watched it like right before, didn't you?
Yeah, because I missed Andor the first time. So I basically watched the whole show, like not quite in one go, but very quickly.
I considered it. Like a few months ago, I think I watched the pilot again. I was like, yeah, I just don't want to sit through it all again.
I will say that the pilot and the second episode, I watched them.
Yeah.
And then it was like months before I got back into it. But once I got back into it, I found it a lot easier to get through than I thought.
Through it. Yeah, okay. From the opening frames, I concluded this was best enjoyed in a vacuum, without relationship to the wider universe.
Okay.
Even though it's a direct prequel, the fact that this coexists in the world of Phantom Menace and The Rise of Skywalker is ridiculous.
Oh, it's you know, every time they brought up Palpatine, I just laughed, because just the idea... Yeah, just the idea of them sitting down and talking through like their quarterly returns with Palpatine, and like they're saying like, oh, the Emperor has requested an audit. I was like, no, he fucking hasn't.
I know. Cut to power!
Yeah.
Absolute power! Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah. So how well is the sector doing on this graph? Yeah.
But that's Robot Chicken, basically, isn't it? That's like, there's a whole... anyway. When that guy Cyril gets shot in the head with a blaster, while it's not particularly bloody... hop from that scene to the one where Darth Vader strikes Obi-Wan with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
And his clothes just fall to the ground in a mound.
Yes. Because that is canonically after this, right?
Yeah.
That New Hope is later than...
It's after, yeah. That's, not only is this a big franchise cooked by many cooks, it's a long one.
Yeah.
Right? Consistency will waver. And I accept that that's the case. It's nonetheless a bit silly.
Okay.
That this is before A New Hope, and then you go watch A New Hope, and it's a 70s film. You know? The USP of this series is its groundedness. And while he's made a couple of duds, Tony Gilroy brings to the plate the attention to detail he did with Michael Clayton. Like in that, we had the delayed sounds of explosions and like proper realism. And so the technical aspects of Andor, the sound, the production design, are second to none.
Oh, it's a fantastic looking show.
Yes.
Like, it's everything... No, I think... I feel comfortable saying it is. So I know you put your finger up
We'll
there.
get to it.
I totally believe the world that it's presenting to me. I think if you divorce
I agree.
If you divorce it from the whole, this belongs in the world of Star Wars, so it's weird that like they're bringing up like rape and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just I like, as a world that's being presented to me in a vacuum, I totally believe it.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
You see that on screen, and it is a well-realized universe. I do not dispute that.
I also really like the dialogue in this show.
Okay.
I know that, what they're talking about is ridiculous a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But just the way a lot of the characters are speaking, like the vernacular they're using and the rhythm that the dialogue has. Okay. I just find it nice to listen to.
Okay.
I'm only bringing that up because, like, I'm sure we're going to go into what we don't like.
No, because that's never something that occurred to me, that the dialogue was good. I've never thought that.
I think this might be an instance where, when compared to Star Wars as a whole, it's like, this is actually quite well written.
Okay, fine.
In terms of just the
the George Lucas dialogue is pants.
Yeah. But it's just like, this is, like, as far as a prestige drama goes, this is, like, very decent dialogue.
Oh, as far as prestige drama goes?
Yeah, if you think of it as like, this is Star Wars trying to be prestige drama.
Okay, so as far as Star Wars goes?
Yeah, okay. I look at the dialogue and I go, that's totally fine. That fits the thing that
you're not saying it's good compared to prestige drama, you're saying it's good compared to Star Wars.
Oh yeah, like it's nothing compared to like
Succession.
Yeah, or Severance or anything like that.
Okay.
But like when all of the Imperial officers are in the room talking to each other, and I'm like, this is I'm liking listening to this.
Okay, fine. Okay.
I take it you're not.
Oh no, it's never occurred to me. Like the dialogue to me is functional. It's not bad dialogue. Yeah, not George Lucas dialogue. But I never ever thought that's good writing. Dialogue. Just never occurred to me. I'm not saying it's not.
Okay.
It's somewhat a sci-fi Game of Thrones, Andor, like spanning multiple locations, different pockets of characters, politics, economics, arranged marriages, a sense of the infrastructure, right? The inner workings. So how does a prison look in Star Wars?
Yes.
How does a hospital look in Star Wars? Both shows, to an extent, demystify the tropes of their genre. They Nolan it. And I'm not against the Star Wars show in this mold. I do think there's potential there. And I'm aware everyone loves this. It will top many end-of-year lists.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't do it for me.
Okay.
Honestly, I found it a bit boring. Part of that is its narrative limitations. We know where all this goes.
Yeah.
Right? More than most mythologies, the canon of Star Wars is deep, deep in the culture, isn't it? On a more immediate level, I don't like looking at it all that much.
Okay.
It's not ugly, but it's visually restricted. By design, right? They're adhering to a colour palette. They know what their universe looks like.
Yeah.
It just isn't one that tickles my eye.
Okay.
It's just not my thing, you know?
Okay. I just think that... I get what you mean, yeah. Like, even by Star Wars standards, it's a very muted palette.
Yes.
But in terms of, like, the design of its world, I think it does a good job of feeling like it belongs to the art style of Star Wars, while you're always kind of aware of what they're evoking. So I think there's an episode where he's on like a beach, like an Ibiza planet, and I immediately recognize, that's an Ibiza planet.
Sure,
it's like a beach holiday resort planet. I get what they're trying to do.
It's very well executed. Yeah. I'm not disputing that it's well executed. It's just I don't like mayonnaise.
Okay,
and I'm not going to argue with you about whether it's a good taste. Do you know what I mean? It's to my eye, it's not my thing.
Okay.
And it was similar to Dune Prophecy in that way, though this is much more accomplished than Dune Prophecy.
Yes.
There's also an overlap in the shape of the aesthetic of the two shows and the costumes, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea of a space bureaucracy show, internecine conflicts, all that business, like Mass Effect, something like that.
Yeah.
It's fertile ground, an authoritarian government in control of the galaxy as a dormant religion begins reactivating. Again, Game of Thrones. But Andor doesn't deal with the Force. The Jedi have no place here. But that's a show I wouldn't mind watching.
Okay.
Right? The show's geopolitical allegories were too obvious for my tastes. So, Gorman being Iraq, Calcite being oil. There's the Orwellian Ministry of Enlightenment thing, the Goebbels duo.
Oh, yeah.
Propaganda, fake news, yawn, No, Star Wars never approached its metaphor with any subtlety, don't get me wrong. But this is Star Wars unplugged. It's meant to be, right?
Okay.
There's a clash there. You can only bring so much nuance to the evil galactic empire, it turns out. Like you alluded to, there's an attempted rape in an early episode. I admire the attempt to get down in the dirt of an elevated franchise and portray, the real shit happening between the pod races and the Yoda Palpatine duels.
Yes.
But they were trying too hard there, I think.
Okay.
Grasping for legitimacy. A reason the fans love it, by the way. They feel vindicated. But Star Wars doesn't need legitimizing. It's a goofy space opera that's quite popular.
It owns the culture.
Just enjoy it. Yeah, exactly.
I think that's definitely part of why it's so well received, is just how... Yeah, I imagine that it's so vindicating. If you've loved Star Wars all your life, even if you love it, then there's got to be people out there that are kind of reaching an age where they think, people... Is it weird that I still like Star Wars?
I wish that was the case.
But now they have a show where they can go, no, look, it's fine.
Yeah.
Look, Star Wars is good.
I'm not childish for liking Star Wars.
Yeah, it's mature and it's like a proper thing,
Yeah, but then also, you shouldn't need it legitimate. Like, if you like it, you like it. Like, we can have our judgments about it, but whatever, just own your fandom.
Yeah.
But also, vindication isn't a weird concept because... What? So, like, you were a fan of Star Wars this whole time because you knew within it there was the possibility for something like Andor? It's such a weird thing to be vindicated by. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you've been proven... Vindication, proven right.
Yeah.
No, you liked it, and now there's something that critics like as well.
Yeah.
By the way, critics also like the original trilogy.
Yes, of course.
It's just... And The Mandalorian, even.
Yeah.
It's just... They don't like the prequel trilogy. And they don't like The Rise of Skywalker. They like kind of everything else,
I think so.
Yeah, they do. Ahsoka was well received.
Yeah.
What was that shitty show from last year?
Oh, Acolyte.
I think that was well received.
Was it?
By critics.
Okay.
Yeah, critics like all the Star Wars, basically.
Yeah.
So,
but this is something that you could feasibly, recommend to someone.
Right.
Isn't it? Like, as an
adult.
Yeah, as an adult, you can go, you got to watch this show, Andor. It's, mature and it's,
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound like I'm, infantilizing Star Wars fans too much.
No, but I mean,
But it's like, oh, they're just waiting for like, oh, finally the grown-ups can enjoy Star Wars. But
I don't have a problem with grown-ups enjoying Star Wars. It's just, I do think there's an element of, you saw it when you were a kid and you just can't let it go. I mean, you don't have to let it go, but like, maybe you don't have to be as big a fan of it now as you were when you were 7 and you saw Phantom Menace now. Because that's when the prequels now are undergoing a complete critical reevaluation.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is ridiculous. Those films are fucking terrible.
I would be interested to know what this show has done to the reputation of Rogue One. Because I don't know. I know there are a lot of, because I saw the forums a buzz, there were a lot of people that rewatched Rogue One as soon as the show had ended.
Sure. I saw an Empire article that was Rogue One enriches every generation of Star Wars.
Okay.
I didn't read it. And then I saw someone comment, so that I'm taking this as like this is my poll. So someone comment somewhere that in light of Andor, Rogue One is now the best Star Wars film.
Oh, really?
I actually liked Rogue One when it came out.
I remember liking it at the time, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was, as it goes, it was like it felt like a history film in the Star Wars universe. Like they were depicting history. It was like a Vietnam film in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
I remember liking it at the time, but I've never gone back to it. But yeah, this strategy of, Nolanizing, it isn't new, but literally it's, Nolan.
Yeah.
In a way, also, it's a protracted a protracted cousin of Dead Men. Right?
Okay.
Taking something grand and aloft and making it tactile. So the destruction of Hell's Kitchen and Daredevil, Metropolis and Batman v Superman, Tom Stoppard's Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. Are you familiar with that?
No.
So it's a play. There's a flippant line in Hamlet when the war was happening. It's like, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. They're unseen characters that are sent off to do something, and then they're just dead in dialogue, right? But the play shows their conversations as the events of Hamlet are happening off stage, right? So it's like a version of that. But George Lucas has even attempted it before. Midi-chlorians. That's what was attempted to go, oh no, there's a biology and a chemistry to the Force. Yeah. It's not just magic, Anyhow, most of my notes were made on the first batch of episodes. I found it hard to invest, is the upshot.
Okay.
Not much was occurring to me in the subsequent weeks. I didn't try to follow it closely. 3 episodes a week was too much for me.
Okay.
Disney were probably nervous about the prospect of making viewers wait week to week for 12 whole weeks. But that would have been appreciated. I think it would have helped me get into it more.
Okay.
If I just have to watch one a week.
Yeah.
I did jot down one nitpick. And it is a nitpick because if you start untangling these things, the whole ball of yarn unspools. I accept them speaking English, right? It's been translated for me.
Okay.
Right, for us. But the phrase endgame is used, which comes from chess. Now, I know it all falls apart if you do this, right?
Yes.
Because all words are Earth words.
Yes.
But that one stood out for some reason, no, that's just not a thing that you would have. Anyway, I thought the final 3 episodes were decent.
Yeah, they seem to, considering that there was quite a lot that they had to wrap up before Rogue One.
Yeah.
The fact that the first of those 3 finale episodes was basically just this very small little story about 2 side characters, really. Well, not side characters.
Make it stop, right? That was the Stellan Skarsgård episode. Yeah, that was the best episode, I would say.
Yeah, I really liked that episode because it really honed in on, and I think I've seen articles about the actress who plays his adopted daughter.
Yeah.
About how this was her first acting gig.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I think those episodes came in the wake of them realising that, she actually does have some acting chops. So we could centre a story around her.
Okay.
And it did feel like she was kind of gaining prominence as the show reached its conclusion. But then that episode is basically that the Stellan Skarsgård character, he's found out by the Empire. So he tries to kill himself so that he can't be taken in for questioning. But they manage to take him to hospital and they're keeping him alive.
Yeah.
So she has to break into the hospital to kill him.
Yes.
And there are flashbacks throughout that episode about how they met and kind of the events that led to Skarsgård kind of starting his campaign to begin the rebellion.
Yes.
And yeah, that felt like an episode that worked in the context of what Andor was trying to do.
I liked that episode.
It was a good episode.
I liked him just make the fighting stop, make it that very human moment. He's the best thing about Andor, I think.
Yeah.
And just that character of, someone who, and again, it's annoying because it's a point, it's a thing I like about it, but when I see other people writing about it, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Right.
It's that he will go, he's unremembered. No one knows his name, but he's responsible for the destruction of the Empire.
Yeah.
But the way people write about it, as though it's like profound and poetic, it's like,
Yeah.
it's a good idea, but like fucking just chill a little bit. You know?
I mean, there is an element to that where
Well, with the Star Wars fandom,
a little bit, yeah, just like no, I recognize that there's a quality to this show that can't be denied. But when you see just how rabid the positive response around it is, it does make you like the show less.
It does.
A little bit.
A little bit. You definitely go in with that.
Like the Gorman Massacre episode.
Yeah.
Like, there are so many people that have been like, oh my god, it's the best episode of television since, what's it called, The Rings of Castamere?
That's what it's called.
No, the Game of Thrones episode. Is that what it's called?
The episode is called that, yeah.
Yeah.
The Red Wedding happens in it.
Yes, exactly.
But the
it's like, it's the best episode of television since that. It's so, like, contemporary and current and relevant to modern times.
Just wind it in a little bit.
No, it's just a good episode of television.
Yeah.
Don't freak out. It's fine.
Exactly.
For what it is.
But it just shows you, if that's what they're comparing it to, they're genre people.
Yeah.
They probably don't watch drama, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, we watch everything. So whenever someone says, that's the best episode of TV, it's like, yeah, have you watched everything? Did you have the right to say that?
Yeah.
We'll tell you what the best episodes of the year were, all right? Episode 12 of The Pit, and there's a few Severance episodes in there. But, like, it's not Andor. But yeah, that episode did make me wonder whether the show was better than I was giving it credit for.
Okay.
But I think it is unique, that episode, right? It's the rest of the show isn't like that.
I think as time marches on,
Yeah.
and my memory of the show erodes, that will be the last thing to go.
I agree.
Is that episode?
I agree, and just that character.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought, oh, maybe there's a there. But I just think the truth of the whole thing is, Andor was only ever going to go so far with me.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how good it was. It was only ever going to go so far, you know?
Yeah.
And for what it is, it's the best version of it.
Yeah, like I can't deny the quality of it.
Yeah.
It is a good show.
No, it is, yeah.
It's disappointing that I wasn't able to get past a certain point with it.
Same. It's just not for us. I think that's what it comes down to. It's just not for us.
Yeah, I mean, what was I going to say? It's weird that... I understand that it's probably just a matter of priorities, because it does feel like this is really focusing on the world building of Star Wars.
Yeah.
But Andor is like the most boring character in the show.
Yes, that's true.
In fact, I think the show kind of knows it, because it spends a lot of time trying to keep him away from the main story.
Yeah.
You know, he spends 3 episodes on a heist mission, and then spends 3 episodes in jail, and then 3 episodes stuck on a planet where people are like trying to kill each other.
Yes.
And he's never really... I think of all of the people that are actually contributing to the story moving forward and getting us towards the events of Rogue One, and by extension, the original trilogy, and it's Stellan Skarsgård, and it's the Imperial...
Yeah.
Deidre, the blonde woman.
I can't remember her
Yeah,
name.
Deidre, I think her name is, and Cyril.
And Ben Mendelsohn.
And whoever that guy, that older guy in the boardroom is.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked all of the Empire people in this. They were just...
Yeah.
I liked watching them.
Yeah.
They were the people that I was interested in seeing.
Yeah, I think whenever it went away from them, I was like, oh, I want to go back to them.
Yeah, whenever Andor's there, I'm like, oh.
But it can often be the case that the hero is the most boring character, right?
Yeah, but it really feels like
it really does.
He feels like a significant notch below everyone else in the show.
I would agree. Yeah.
And I don't know how much of that is just they were stuck with... Because
this was characterization.
Yeah, I mean, this was probably brought to Tony Gilroy, wasn't it? It's like, right.
Well, he co-wrote Rogue One.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, they probably went to him and like, right, you got to make a Star Wars show based on Rogue One. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
What about this Andor guy? Yeah, all right, write a show around him.
Yeah.
And then as time was going on, it became clear that like the show really wasn't about him.
Right.
But he just had to keep him in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's probably one of the better shows on TV that I really don't have that much of
it's over now.
Yeah.
So we don't have to come back to it, but...
And I probably never will.
No, I never will either.
I probably will never go back to it.
I think the truth is we both acknowledge that it's very accomplished.
Yes.
It's just not our thing.
No, it's not. But this was... I don't know. I still think Skeleton Crew is a better take on the Star Wars universe
I
than this.
enjoyed that more than this, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it's a case of, this was Star Wars' one chance to kind of appeal to us on our level.
I don't need Star Wars to be like Andor. It can be like Skeleton. To me, Star Wars is Skeleton Crew.
Okay.
That's at its best. It's an 80s adventure movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to try and be Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to do that. So I think we've been fair there.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah. I wouldn't take Andor out of the world.
No, and we don't have to recommend it to anyone because they're going to watch it.
Yeah. And I'm not mad at anyone who watches it and enjoys it.
No, just that goes on about it.
Yeah. Maybe tone that down a little bit. Because it does run the risk of... I mean, Star Wars in general, it's kind of got that reputation of when people talk about how much they love Star Wars, you're a bit like...
Exhausted.
Oh, okay, all right. But it's certainly now that they've got like something that's like mature and proper that they can point to, it's like... Just calm down. Calm down a little
This doesn't make The Phantom Menace good.
No,
It really doesn't.
I guess I would also kind of be interested to... I don't know if I will, but I'd be kind of interested to go back to Rogue One and it's like, oh, how does that fare now that it has like a proper like lead up to it in the form of Andor?
Yeah.
Is there a noticeable drop-off in quality? Does it improve the film? Does it even feel like it's the same kind of thing?
It won't feel like Andor.
Okay.
It won't. I mean, just my memory of it doesn't feel like Andor. It feels like a more grounded version of Star Wars, but not as fiercely grounded as Andor is.
Yeah.
Where the whole point of it is, you see like the buttons they press, and it's not just... It's now like, you can see them operating things, and the sound... No, it's a slightly more guerrilla Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
I'd watch Star Wars if there was a gorilla in it.
Chewbacca, basically.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, warfare. So what's this, George?
What's this?
Yeah.
This is a war film.
Yeah. Yeah, 2006, Ramadi, Iraq.
Yes.
Navy SEALs supporting a marine operation. They're in a house. They're keeping watch over like a marketplace. Shit goes south. That's the film.
That's the film. It's real time.
It's real time, yes.
Yeah,
mostly.
That's kind of the big gimmick of the film. But that's the thing, gimmick doesn't feel like a fair word.
No, when you USP is what I usually go with.
USP.
Gimmick is like the rotten version of a USP, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it's not. It doesn't do the 24 thing where it's constantly being like, this is all happening at the same time.
It doesn't keep reminding you. It occurs to you it's occurring in real time.
Yeah, and it's not a one-take thing where it's trying to impress you with its one-take.
It's not peacocking,
Yeah.
So Warfare was announced before Civil War was even released, right?
Okay.
Alex Garland, the director.
Yes.
It's always worrying when there isn't much time between projects, but it turns out there's no cause for concern. It starts rather unexpectedly with the video of Eric Prydz's Call on Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a brief snapshot of the soldiers not on the job, basically, having a bit of fun at the barracks. Then that's that.
Yeah, that's all the fun you get.
That's it. The next 20 minutes or so are procedural, them just doing their job, mostly in silence. We see their professionalism and their process. The camera is calm and measured. The photography is clean and sharp. So, like, the detail on the gun and the sweat and little calluses on the hand.
Yeah.
It's slow, deliberate, and tense. You're waiting. From the off, I found it utterly captivating. Soon enough, circumstances erupt into chaos. The film plays out in real time, like you said. A crisis thriller, a bottle thriller, taking place essentially in one house. The platoon has to keep 2 wounded soldiers alive under constant threat and fire. It's the heat of battle, the fog of war. There have been quite a few bottle thrillers lately. This is by far the best. Really a bottle war film, not a bottle thriller.
Yeah.
The cinematography adapts fittingly, becoming more handheld as it goes on. Now, the whole thing is based on the memories of the soldiers that were there, one of whom, Ray Mendoza, is one of the 2 writers and the main director.
Okay.
So Alex Garland was like a supporting director, basically.
Okay.
And Ray Mendoza was the combat advisor on Civil War.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. And Alex Garland, as you know, he did Ex Machina, Annihilation, all these things.
Yeah.
As things spiral out of control, the filmmaking becomes a tiny bit more expressionistic, occasionally subjective over objective. So, like, this demonstrates the film is very much grounded in the personal accounts. So we hear the sounds like inside their heads, like ringing and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of sound, the film's sonic design is second to none.
Yeah, and I think that is the magic ingredient in this film, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because when they're just, like you said, they're just sitting in the house basically not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you could hear every breath and every, like, as they're, like, the fabric of their uniform is, like, scraping against the wall. And
that's the thing. It's like, obviously the gunfight, like, that's going to be commended and everything. But for me, the highlight was the calm before the storm. Yeah. Like, breath, light wind, background chatter, dogs barking, just scratching his head. You know? Yeah, it's great. And I really hope that's remembered around award season. If nothing else.
Oh, God, yeah.
The sound, you know? It's chocker with British actors because we really are just the best. Joseph Quinn, Cosmo Jarvis, and Will Poulter, amongst others. Quinn is really becoming something for me in film. I like him. Jarvis too. The former just has a screen presence I really like, and Jarvis feels different in every single project.
Yeah, it's sort of like a fun little game, isn't it? It's like, which one is Cosmo Jarvis?
Yeah, what accent is he going to do? They have the most screaming to do, and it's rather harrowing.
Yeah.
Because, it's full on, it's truly real time, so we don't get to leave their howls of agony.
Nope. And that morphine is doing nothing for them.
I imagine not, no. It was a bit gorier than I expected, like real gore, but I didn't expect it to be like that.
No?
Well, not when you like a bisected translator. I thought, okay, they're really showing it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a war film.
Yeah, I know that, but there's war films and there's war films. Like sometimes it's just getting shot and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect that.
Okay.
Also, we are at the point where I'm appreciating things that could conceivably be a single take, not being a single take. The beginning of the operation brought to mind the climax of Zero Dark 30, like near pitch darkness. Its other bedfellows include American Sniper, The Hurt Locker, the same war, obviously, and Black Hawk Down, absolutely mental urban warfare. The aftermath of the IED detonating into the tank was reminiscent of Saving Private Ryan. Just that feeling of, war really is hell, isn't it? Come and See and All Quiet on the Western Front occupied that camp too. The Private Ryan and Hurt Locker were basically uncontroversial, right? The same cannot be said of Zero Dark 30 and American Sniper, whose politics were hotly debated. And Come and See and All Quiet on the Western Front are blatantly anti-war. Warfare is apolitical. It's an unflinching recreation of an incident of war in the moment.
Yeah.
Pure survival. It doesn't talk about the reasons they're there. It doesn't depict them as anything other than trying not to die, right?
Yes.
But there have still been some detractors. One critic called it military propaganda.
Okay.
Which is fucking nonsense. If you leave thinking that signing up to the armed forces seems like a lot of fun, you were asleep, or indeed an ideologue writing in bad faith.
Okay.
Like many other issues today, like police and race and all that kind of thing, I think the fact it doesn't outright condemn the US involvement in Iraq is sufficient for disparagement.
So kind of like in the absence of finger wagging, they assume there is none. Because
it's not commenting politically on anything.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it should be.
Okay.
So it's obviously propaganda. Yeah,
I mean, there is a little moment at the end where it kind of feels like that could be making a point.
Well, that's what I would... And the only other thing that would kind of support that, if you like, is that it appreciates the real people involved, right?
Oh, right, yeah.
I'm not saying it's true, but the fact that it's like, we owe these soldiers, like...
Yeah.
And the director was there, he's one of the guys.
Yeah.
So he's like, thanks to these guys for... The fact it does that, I could see people going, it's an advert for joining the army.
I suppose so. But then, like, right at the very end of the film, when the soldiers do finally...
get away.
Yeah, I mean, the director is one of the guys that was there still. Yeah. At the very least, he gets away. That's not a spoiler.
Yes, we know that.
Yeah, because they're in a house. At the beginning of the film, they kind of raid this house that belongs to these, like, local residents.
Yes.
And they're in the house with them as all this shit is happening. And so when the soldiers finally escape... And the house is basically in ruins. They've like completely destroyed the top floor.
Yeah.
And there's like blood and shit everywhere. And they walk, like the kind of owners walk into the house and just kind of looking in horror as there's just kind of nothing left of their lives.
You can come out now, they're gone, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose like that's the only bit that no one was there for, right?
Yeah.
There's a picture at the beginning of the film of a child outside the house. It's not clear when it was taken.
Okay.
But do you remember that? It starts with like one image of a kid outside the real location that's been perfectly recreated.
Yeah.
But you could argue, if anything, that's commentary.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I know. Like, but that didn't have to be there.
Yeah.
That's not their experience, right? So like, why show the family? It suggests that they were what was kind of important.
Yeah.
Not for the whole, but you know what I mean? Like, we just leave all the shit in our wake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's something that need be remembered and considered. Is that they can't leave. This is their house. Right. This is their life. Yeah. And they've ruined it. The soldiers have ruined it.
Yeah. I mean, not their fault, obviously, but, other than the wall.
Yeah.
They fucked that up. But, yeah, and the film ends with photographs, most blurred, of the real guys, and a thank you to them. And we see a real survivor who lost a leg, as well as the ability to speak, it turns out.
Okay.
That was fine with me, obviously. I think I just wish they hadn't shown the making of the film.
Yeah.
They show a bit of the making of it, that Ray Mendoza directing the actors and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's over this like really kind of harrowing soundscape.
Right.
So it's not as if it's like the fun
No.
Pixar post-credit bloopers. It's not that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it just feels weird because I don't really know what it's supposed to accomplish. Because like you said, you have photographs of the real soldiers and then a photograph of the actor depicting them in uniform side by side, but most of the real photos are blurred.
I assume because they're classified.
Okay, fine if that's the case, but in that case, why bother?
Well, no, I get it. It's that sort of itself making a point, isn't it? It's like all these people doing this dangerous stuff that you can't thank them because you're not allowed to know who they are.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? But this thing, I think the guy who directed it was in the army, and I don't think all I know about when people have said to him, "Oh, it's so realistic," he says, "How would you know?"
Yeah.
I don't know anything about his view of the army or that war or anything like that. I don't care.
Yeah.
The film doesn't really care. I suppose the only thing, putting that stuff at the end, it does suggest, it has a positive attitude towards, which politically I'm aligned with. But like, I think it would be more effective if you just show it the way it was, no commentary, either way. That's what happened,
Yeah.
And it didn't greatly diminish what preceded it. But one of the strengths of Warfare is that it's this contained, crucially decontextualized experience that ends as soon as it ends.
Yeah.
90 minutes over. But that one nitpick said, for me, it's probably the best film of the year so far.
Okay.
I really liked it.
Yeah. No, it was a very, very strong showing.
Yeah.
Because it is the type of thing where it could become stale.
Yeah.
Which sounds ridiculous given like the violence and the threat of that situation. Like, it wouldn't become stale if you were actually there with them.
Of course. Just bored.
Yeah. But no, just like the fact that you're constantly under this threat of violence and they're constantly screaming.
Yeah.
There's the chance that all of that could become numbing as a viewer.
Yeah, you get desensitized to it.
And you don't. I don't feel like you do anyway.
And that's the beauty of it being 90 minutes as well, I'm sure it all played out like that.
Yeah.
But... it doesn't. Like, Black Hawk Down is a film where it's mental. It's just like the whole film's a shootout and it's long. And there is an element a part of that where you go, yeah, okay, I'm getting a bit like jaded.
Okay.
But the Warfare doesn't stick around long enough for you to be jaded by it.
Yeah.
So I think we both recommend it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, and finally, Screamboat.
Okay.
What's it about?
Okay. This is an IP on you film. Is that our term or is that the term?
That's our term.
That's our term. It's your term. You came up with that.
Well, now it's ours.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'll give you credit for that.
I'm happy to take credit, but when I introduce things, they're now for mutual use.
Okay. Yeah. Winnie the Pooh has Blood and Honey and Blood and Honey 2. Peter Pan has Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. Mickey Mouse had The Mousetrap. Now he's also got Screamboat.
Yes, and another one that came out this week.
Yeah, because they're fucking constant now, aren't
like
they?
Rabbits, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's enough. Yeah, so in a way, this is the highest profile of these films so far.
Okay.
Because they nabbed David Howard Thornton, who's Art the Clown in the Terrifier franchise,
Yes.
to play Willie. It's important to stress this is not a good film.
Okay.
It's too long.
Well, no, it's a Steamboat Willie slasher.
Yeah, I know.
So like it's only ever going to be
but
at a certain level. But the thing is, we're going into this with the baggage of
exactly.
Oh, it's another one of these fucking things.
But before we say everything we're going to say, it's important to say it's by no means good.
Okay.
It's too long. The acting isn't Oscar worthy.
No.
The writing is basic. However, this is conspicuous by its improvements over the formula thus far.
Yeah,
I would say.
Fully ready for this to join our ever-growing bottom 10 of the year.
And it's in the bottom half, certainly.
Okay.
But it's in the bottom half, but it hasn't cracked the 10.
Oh god, no.
No.
It's not even close for me.
First and foremost, it has a sense of humour. And we laughed with it at times when it wanted us to. Sometimes we laughed at it, sure. And not every comic beat landed.
No.
But at least it knows what it is and what it should be playing into.
Yes.
It also uses and warps the lore.
Yeah. It's like it's set on the
Staten Island Ferry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually set on a boat.
Yeah.
a steamboat, as it turns out,
Yes.
because there's that mechanisms in the base of the ship from when it ran on steam.
It used to be a steamboat.
Yeah.
And that's often clunkily achieved, but there's the attempt at least, right?
Yeah.
These are both major absences from Pooniverse films.
Yes.
And associated mutant offspring. The characters have more personality than we're used to, more distinctiveness. The filmmakers also understand that if it's going to be fun and not nasty, you have to present us with annoying people, like the Henmite Broads, so that we may revel in their bloody contrived deaths.
Yes.
Right? With a few exceptions, the moral characters survive, the irritating ones perish. No children are murdered, nobody is raped, though there is the mandatory exposed tits scene.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
While there are a couple of instances of digital steam, it's still got a budget.
Yeah.
That's cooperating. There's no digital blood.
No.
Nothing but squibs and corn syrup here.
Yeah, it's like practical, not like impressive.
No.
But practical
But
gore.
practical, and much of it.
Yeah.
Much corn syrup. While Willie, is an actual mouse in this.
Well, not an actual.
No, larger than your typical mouse, but not a bloke in a mask.
No.
Wandering around murdering without end or purpose.
Yeah.
Willie's size creates its own humorous scenarios, but also demands the filmmakers do some trickery with perspective.
Yeah.
You know? They also employ an old school iris out for one scene.
Yeah.
More than the mission demanded.
No, absolutely. And it's one of those things where I think we've become so numb to these films and their utter lack of creativity.
Yeah.
I think both of us, when we realised that he was actually like mouse-sized, and it did take us a minute because I don't think the film introduces it very well.
No.
It is kind of confusing, like what size he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Until you see him like holding a person upside down, you're like, oh shit, that's the size of an actual mouse.
It doesn't do it perfectly.
No.
But the fact that why would you even bother? Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you just have a guy in the mouse suit?
Yeah, well, I think it's something we thought, oh yeah, neither of us considered that you have the slasher be the actual size of the character.
Of a mouse, yeah.
Not just a guy in a suit.
But also, I don't know about you, when I think of Mickey Mouse, I don't think of him being mouse-sized. He's a guy. Do you know what I mean? They all are.
Well, I mean, a lot of anthropomorphic mascots like Mickey Mouse,
Yeah.
I think like Sonic as well, they're all kind of roughly the same. They're all like 3 foot-ish.
Yeah.
So they're like bigger than the actual animal, but not human
Yes,
sized.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like a child, basically.
Yeah.
Also above and beyond the brief was the litany of Disney references strewn throughout.
Yes. Yeah.
They didn't add a lot, and I would have avoided them personally, but again, even this kind of effort is missing from the film's contemporaries.
Yeah, I mean, you've got obvious ones like they try and weave like catchphrases and famous lines.
The dialogue,
dialogue.
There are lines like "Just keep swimming" and "Can you feel the love tonight?" and "It's a small world after all."
Yeah.
Then the Henmite girls, their nods to Disney princesses.
Yeah, which felt a little bit more subtle. Like that was the kind of Disney reference where I'm like, yeah, that's fine actually.
Yeah, their names being Cindy, and they have like a glass slipper gag with her too.
Yeah.
Rory, Belle, etc. Willie scrawls in blood on the ceiling, "A scream is a wish your heart makes."
Yeah.
And having read a little into it, there are a lot more references that we missed too.
Okay.
All the way down to the Disney Parks Club 33. There are references to that in the film.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Apparently the director wanted to be an Imagineer when he was young.
Right.
So yeah, he's a bit of a Disney obsessive. There's a meta component about...
And I think that's another thing that the Blood and Honey films are missing.
What's that?
Being made by people that are actually like into...
Fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're actually fans of the thing that they're parodying.
Exactly, yeah. They do it with love.
Completely missing that insider knowledge that they can pump into the film. Be it like casual references like that, or the fact that he's actually mouse-sized and like he actually uses steam at one point to kill a person.
Right.
Properly using the lore and the mechanics of the source material.
Yeah.
For like
and Steamboat Willie is limited. There's not much you can do with Steamboat Willie.
Oh, it's one
Mickey Mouse, yes.
Like 8-minute cartoon, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a meta component about Walt Disney and his relationship with Mickey or Willie. People thought Willie was just a figment of his imagination.
Yeah.
You know? The film also features a black and white short film in the style of Steamboat Willie to explain the backstory. Once again, above the pay grade.
It was.
Yeah, I know it doesn't look like one.
That's the thing. The art style, they pretty much nail it.
Yeah, but not the animation.
No, it's not that rubber hose animation.
Yeah.
And I get it. That's incredibly hard to do.
It's hard. But like, why? But they didn't have to do it at all.
They didn't have to do it at all. So I do give them some credit. I'm just thinking, like, if you're going to that effort, it is something that I think people would notice.
Do it right if you're going to do it. Yeah,
exactly.
No, I get it. If you're gonna... And the character who provides all that exposition, when asked about the Fairy Mortimer, which is Mickey's original name, says that its parts are recycled because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a meta comment on Disney.
Yeah.
Incidentally, the fairy they used is part owned by Pete Davidson.
Okay.
He owns that ferry. They came in like maybe John Mulaney. There's like a couple of comedians that own that ferry.
Right.
And so they use that ferry, yeah.
Sure. All right.
Yeah, like we said, it's a Staten Island ferry. And one of the unexpected dimensions of this film is its love for New York.
Yeah.
Many of the characters are very New York. And there's a romanticism about the city sprinkled throughout, as well as appeals to the unity and spirit of New Yorkers. I love New York anyway, but this was another refreshment because all the other films are set nowhere.
Yeah, they've got, as you've labelled them, inexplicable Americans. Because it feels like they're kind of, like, especially with the Pooh films, where they're normally set in the 100 Acre Wood.
Yeah.
Which is a British location.
With rednecks.
Yeah. And you're like, huh? What?
There's never enough sun to have a redneck in the UK.
Yeah. Whereas here, it firmly cements it in a place.
Yeah.
And it lets the personality of that place infect the film.
Yeah.
So there is a moment where there's kind of like almost like a
rally. They rally New Yorker pride.
Yeah, like, we're going to let this fucking mouse like ruin our night.
Yeah. Fuck no.
Fuck no. Let's kill this fucking mouse.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like,
it's like 9/11's never like explicitly, it's not brought, but there's that feeling of post 9/11, like, oh, when tragedy strikes, we band together kind of thing.
Yeah. And, in fairness, Steamboat Willie kills them all immediately.
Yeah, in one fell swoop. We were wondering, it's like, oh, there's actually... I thought the Staten Island ferry at that time of night, it's going to have a few people on it, but like it's not going to be crammed.
Yeah.
But like this type of film, it's going to be like 5 people on that boat.
Yeah.
But it's not. There's actually like quite a few people on there.
Yeah.
Like, how are they going to do that? But then he just kills like 30 of them.
Yes.
in one scene. But okay. Then there's the quite clever element of the heroine wearing a spotty dress, which attracts Willie to her, or like it either reminds him of Minnie or he thinks she is Minnie or something like that. And then for the climax, she uses that knowledge, as well as her established skills as a designer, to help defeat Willie. Payoff.
Yeah, what a fucking novel concept, using the talents of the main character.
Yeah, cleaner.
In the finale of the story.
Yeah.
Like, like the fact that she is the one to take on Steamboat Willie.
Yeah, and this thing,
that matters.
It's clumsy, and it's like, it's contrived, but like, at least they're doing it.
Yeah.
But it's like when, you find out early in a film that someone can fly a plane, you're like, right, I wonder when that skill will be called upon.
Yeah.
And I didn't think, to be fair, in this one, that her drawing skills would be called upon.
Design.
But like, good, they did it, use what you've got. Now, like I say, it's not a very good film.
Okay.
Beyond the obvious criticisms, it's about 20 minutes too long.
Yeah.
Willie gets annoying.
Yes.
And they fall back on the familiar he was an experiment origin story.
Yeah.
I think the 3 words that characterised the experience for us were, well, at least.
Yeah.
And that is indeed damning with faint praise.
Yeah.
But we know you haven't seen any of the Twisted Childhood films. You don't know what it's like, man. Okay?
And I think it's because of that. I think it's because we've suffered through a few of those together now, that I actually quite enjoyed watching this.
Same. Yeah, we had fun. And the verdict is, it could have been much, much, much worse.
Yeah.
We have seen much, much, much worse.
Yeah.
So I think we were happy to drink a watered-down poison.
Yeah. I mean, talk of vindication. A lot of the things that we've been criticising in the Pooniverse films are things that this film
I was going to say,
did.
People who were fan of the Pooniverse films like, finally, now I get...
No,
this is the Andor of the IP on you movie.
Well, it kind of is, because it's like a lot of them...
so far.
Yeah, a lot of the mistakes that those films are making, Screamboat makes none of those mistakes.
Yeah, I don't know, if we could boil down to like 5 core criticisms of those films, one of them for me would be stop with the mutant thing.
Yeah.
So it has one of those problems, but the other 4, no.
Yeah.
It has a sense of humour.
Yeah.
It uses the lore. Yeah, it does a lot of things right.
Yeah. It's an actual film, because like you said, the skills of the protagonist become relevant later on, and they go on a little journey.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a proper...
It's not nasty as well.
It's not a nasty film.
Yeah.
The blowjob scene, I think, was a bit much for me. I didn't need that.
Yeah, well, there has to be an element of exploitation in these things.
Yeah.
No, that's the one thing where it got a bit prurient and a bit like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
But I just take that as like, it's going to happen,
Yeah.
But at least there was a sense that the actors doing it were sort of in on the joke, and they weren't being exploited. The woman wasn't being exploited.
Yeah.
That's a feeling that you do get in other films like this. Like,
Yes.
oh, God, they've asked her to take her top off.
Yeah.
And this is like, well, she's up for it. Kind of thing. That's how it felt, You never know what it's actually like. But yeah, I can't say I recommend it. I recommend it if you've seen the other Twisted Childhood.
Yeah, no, I think to anyone who thinks that there's merit to the Blood and Honey films, watch this.
Right.
Because this is the film you should be watching for a laugh with friends, not that Blood and Honey shit.
Yeah, it's a laugh. Yeah. The other, like I said, it's too long and everything, but the others are slogs.
Yeah.
They're like, they make me angry.
Yeah.
This didn't make me angry. It overstayed its welcome, but it was just kind of nice to go, oh, they're doing that.
Yeah.
That's good.
They're like Mickey Mouse then.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I think we'll leave it at that, right?
Yeah. No, I recommend it in a very specific context. The context in which you would watch a film like this anyway.
Exactly. With pizza and friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that note,
yes,
we get pizza.
Yeah, and friends.
And friends. We get some friends. Okay, we will see you next time.
All right then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.